Here, one that's getting off the tractor. She's loading up the sweet potato vines in a bucket. We don't waste anything at Deep South Homestead. These are to feed our pigs with because the pigs love the sweet potato vines, and it really seems to put the weight on them. So that's what we're using them for. So we have no waste at Deep South Homestead.
It's in here. Don't want to push up. Like, see, there's one right there stuck way off over here in the edge of the, where I wasn't even digging at. It's stuck way off over here. Look at that. See that? Mm-hmm. They just, I think that's where we missed a lot of them last year. Here we done dug. I'm just going back through it to make sure that these are good slip potatoes there. Got a mosquito on it. Pigs love that kind of stuff. Okay guys, one of the things I want to mention here about sweet potatoes is, depending on the variety that you're picking or planting, you know, this variety here makes very long runners. Some of these runners are running way off down the rows, or running way out to the sides. Short growing season areas need vines that need sweet potatoes that have short vines on them, like the Beauregard. Beauregard's a good variety for up north. Down south here we have a very long growing season, so the long running varieties are really good for us, because what they do is, on the ends of these runners out here, they're actually rooted in the ground out here, and if left here long enough, those will make potatoes, called slip potatoes, out on the ends of the vines out here. So keep that in mind when you're growing sweet potatoes, as to the length of the runners on them and the length of your growing season. Here we have Wanda. She's taking the sweet potato draws and slips and vines, whatever you want to call it, over to the pigs. The pigs have learned the sound of the tractor. One of the benefits of having this bucket is we don't have to handle so much by hand anymore, and plus the pigs learn what it is to when feed times comes. You watch them there, they're waiting for Wanda to dump the stuff. That's one of the blessings of having this front end loader here on our homestead. Is it makes it so much easier for Wanda to do things like this, and we don't have to both be involved in it. She's doing really well with the tractor, learning how to operate it now. She's coming back around when they start picking up sweet potatoes, putting them in the bucket. Here we have the sweet potatoes piled on top of the row. We're going to be bringing this tractor down through here, loading the bucket up, taking it back to the house. Okay, here comes Wanda with our first bucket load of potatoes out of the garden. We've got one row dug. We're going to let y'all see how many we get off of one row so far. Okay guys, this is one row of sweet potatoes out of our garden. We've got 15 more rows to go. Now I want you to look, these are some awesome potatoes down in here. I mean, now we got some little ones. I'm not going to say we don't. Because, you're going to have little ones. That's our slip potatoes for next year to make our slips with. We don't use these kind of potatoes right here to make slips with. We use these type like this right here. These little small things. That's what we use. These are our eating potatoes here. And, I mean, they're all down in here. We got some nice ones in here. You can just dig down in here. We got good sized potatoes. Some of these, we call these a mother potato. Them some big old potatoes. These like this right here. That's called the mother potato. It usually grows right on the bottom of the plant at the ground. And we're just excited that we've got such a good crop this year. I mean, you look at these are some big old potatoes. And then they're just nice. And for baking, stuff like that, we got some good baking potatoes here. Gonna be real nice. But this is we're gonna weigh them out in a minute. And we're going to see how many pounds one row of potatoes brought us. Now this is one row. We've got 15 more to go in just that one garden. We have a whole nother garden up here in front of our house that has 4 more varieties in it that we're growing. So looks like this year is starting off to be a bumper crop with sweet potatoes. We are so blessed and so thankful that the Lord has been so good to us. We'll let you know in just a minute when we weigh these out how many pounds we got off of one row. Okay guys, we're back in our dining room. A lot of people ask us, where do you cure your potatoes? Well, we do it in our dining room. I mean, it's the best environment I have right now. It's too humid and hot outside to do it, so we bring it in the house in a controlled environment. We put down a giant piece of cardboard, we put the potatoes on it. Now y'all have to understand, this is one row of potatoes. This is about 104 pounds of potatoes. We're going to call it 100 off of one row. We have 15 more to go, plus a whole nother field up here in the front. And when we put our potatoes down, we go ahead and separate them out by sizes and stuff like that in the house, because what we're going to do is we have our garden set up to harvest every 2 weeks. We'll be harvesting some sweet potatoes. These will have 2 weeks to cure here in the house, and from here these will go to the cellar and be put in the potato boxes in the cellar, so that we'll have them and we'll separate them out. The baking ones will be the bigger ones. We have these that are these smaller ones like these here. You'll see these kind. What will happen is, as soon as these cure, Wanda and I will go ahead and take these kind and we'll go ahead and can them instead of taking them to the cellar and putting them in the boxes, because there's no sense in it. They're better to be canned. Once we get them in the jars, they'll last for years that way. If we put them in the cellar like this right here, they have a tendency to want to get soft after a while because they're kind of small. And contrary to what most people tell you on YouTube or any other source, those old big potatoes like I was showing you are not what you want for slips. We save these little long skinny ones here like this. These are not really usable for anything except maybe hog feed or something like that. And you could can them, you could boil them and can them, but you'd work yourself to death doing it. These lay right down in the rows in the hotbed really well. They grow slips really good. And I've had people say, oh, but Danny, you need to save your biggest and best potatoes to grow your slips out of, so that for genetic purposes and all that. Well, I'm going to tell you something. These potatoes that you're looking at right here, I've had these potatoes for over 20 years myself, raising slips from them. I've done this every year with these small skinny potatoes here, and I'm still growing potatoes this big. So it's not affecting my genetics at all. So that's a myth. You can throw that out the window. I mean, I have potatoes, and you can see them down here. These big old potatoes are everywhere in here. And we have plenty off of that one row. So save your little tiny skinny ones to do your slips out of. Now I'm going to put a link up here in the corner to our last year's sweet potato harvest and planting. And also, might I mention, I have a book that I've wrote about growing sweet potatoes. Not only does it tell you everything about planting the potato from that point to harvest, I also have a picture with everything that I explain that I'm doing, so that there's no confusion in the book as to what's what. The people who have bought the book from me have wrote back and have told me, oh my God, Danny, this is the best source of information that I have ever found on growing sweet potatoes. Not to say that I'm an expert at it, but it seems like it's really helping a lot of people when it comes to growing sweet potatoes. This book is designed with the techniques that I use in it to work in any area. Now, a lot of people up north have asked me, well, Danny, can I grow sweet potatoes up here? Yes, you can. You may not be able to put them in the ground, but you can put them in containers. And you can put a container in your house or in a greenhouse or in a shed and get it started, get the slips in there and get them started and get them growing in there. And then on warm days, maybe take a dolly or a wagon or something, leave them sitting in that week and wheel them out into the warm sun. And look, you can grow sweet potatoes, and it's going to be about variety. Up north, the Beauregard is going to be one of your better varieties up there. Now, there are other ones out there. I think there's like 56 or 57 different varieties of sweet potatoes that I know of now. Some of them will grow really good in cooler climates because they have shorter vines, as we mentioned in the earlier part of the video. The shorter vines don't make such a big mess, and all the energy goes strictly into the root. I think there may be one called Centennial and different ones that are designed to specifically put all their energy into the potato instead of vines. So do your research. Don't take my word for it on those things, but just do your research, because it's out there and it will work. Because people in the northern climate that bought slips from me at the Great Appalachian Homestead Conference have wrote me back and showed me pictures. As far north as Michigan and Minnesota and different places like that, they're growing sweet potatoes. Idaho, Starry Hilder's growing them there she's just growing them out in the ground. These are people that are taking sweet potato slips that I gave them and are making them work in northern climates because I gave them some good information, and it seems like it's working for them. And I'm excited to see what kind of harvest they get off of theirs this year and how they save their potatoes also. So I need to close this video out. Just thought I'd throw a little bit of this information out at you. Thank you from Deep South Homestead.